Welcome everyone that is joining in with us, listening on Spotify as well as YouTube. This is Belong, Become, Be Sent. I am joined here with Maggie Hoover and Josh Beck, the Rio Grande minister, and the one and only Mr. Dodger Vaughn, the executive director of ROC at Rio and OU. Dodger's going to give us a little bit of history of what ROC is here at Rio and as well as OU, and go for it, Dodger.
Sounds good. So we are actually excited to be here at the University of Rio Grande, recording our first podcast here in Woodhall at the podcast studio. This is a historic first for the community. We have a podcast that we usually operate out of the Scripps School of Journalism in the Schoonover Center at Ohio University, but this is the first time we've been able to record here at Rio, so we're really excited about the start of this venture here with our students at the University of Rio Grande. And so I just kind of wanted to take a second and kind of talk about how we ended up at Rio and, all the craziness that happened that kind of led us to this point. And so I guess I need to back up all the way to about 2015. And so sometime around 2015, the board of directors at Reach Out on Campus and I had, set some vision goals for the future. And believe it or not, one of the goals for the future were to expand on a second college campus. Reach Out on Campus has been at Ohio University since about 1975, which is quite a while. I know the students think that I've been there the whole time, but that's not true. I'm not quite that old. So ROC has been around there for a while, but the opportunity to grow and expand on a second campus was something that we had been thinking about and praying about. And then sometime around 2018, the board, with the support of some of the local churches here in Gallia County, made the decision to actually plant a campus ministry at the University of Rio Grande. And so if you're following along in the timeline and you know anything about 2019, we had this little interruption to our lives in 2019 that we called the COVID-19 panic. And so that happened right in the middle of our plant here at the University of Rio Grande. But here's what the amazing part about this is like, even in the midst of that, in the midst of like going back and forth between doing virtual events and doing actual on-campus things, God's been incredible to us. We've been able to connect with students here. We've got a nice core group that's been meeting here at the University of Rio Grande, but we are really looking forward to what God's going to be doing in our community over the course of the next several years. So that's what I've got for you. So I'm going to turn things back over to the crew here and let them tell you what being a part of this process has been like.
Yeah, so first of all, let's give a brief history of, he gave a brief history of ROC. Maggie, how'd you kind of start out here at ROC?
So I started by going to Reach Out at Campus at OU, and I knew that from my church camp at OVCA. And so then when they started, I saw that they started doing ROC at Rio here, and then, so I met a lot of people at ROC at Rio on like mission trips and retreats and stuff, and now that I'm the intern, I've gotten to know everyone a lot better, so that's kind of how I'm here.
Yeah, and Josh?
Kind of the funny story is that I actually ran into Dodger at paintball camp for Round Lake one literally last year, and so he actually offered me the internship, and I was the first intern before Maggie. I'm not the coolest intern apparently, but we're not going to go there. We're not going to get into that discussion. But 5 months later, the first week that I showed up at Rio campus, I obviously met you and I met Isaac and absolutely just fell in love with all the students here, and I just felt as though that's where God was placing me to be. And so 5 months later, took the Rio job as the Rio Grande minister on May 8th, I believe. And that's when I was eventually voted on, and here I am now.
Yeah, and we're absolutely happy to have both of you here. So kind of a little history of me is Dodger actually invited me out one day after he had gave a nice little speech at my local high school here, and I turned him down.
Yeah, and you told me no.
I told him flat no. I said I'm not going to be a part of it, but then a good friend of mine, Isaac, him and his family had invited me out, and I said, he texted me one night about 6 o'clock, and the service started at 6:30, and luckily it's pretty close to my house, so I was able to shoot over here, and I've been here ever since, and I've loved it. So, what has like ROC done in the local community here at Rio or even abroad?
Definitely one of the big things is outreach. That's always been a big thing of just basically outreaching to the community, but also outreaching to the students that are here. It's just a very important thing that we see to fill a need and just kind of love on people, give them the chance to even just know about ROC, because a lot of the people that are showing up to the booth typically don't really know about ROC at all, and they're just kind of like impressed, like, you know, most of the time the students and stuff that are coming up to the booth and stuff for cookies or anything that we're handing out, they're just like, why are you doing this? Like, how much is it? Or, you know, what are you about? Are we having to fill out something? And obviously we don't make them do any of that, but if they want to truly know, we'll obviously gladly tell them what we're about and what we're for, and it's just a great way to connect with the community and especially the students here at Rio.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was saying that we do the cookie drive here at Rio as well as OU. We gave out just over, I think, 1,000 cookies in between two campuses, which was crazy.
1,300 bags of cookies, and most cookie bags had at least 2, sometimes 3 cookies in there. So that's quite a few.
Yeah. We were here at Rio. We were giving out bulk. I know we gave a couple to the local campus police, and we had a lot of people enjoy it. We've also been over to Mexico, at least since I have been here, with Crossroads. Excellent organization, really good background, really good-hearted people. We've also been to New Orleans this past spring as well, which is the second year for me, and I've loved every single second of it. And I know you went to Mexico, so what was kind of the highlight for you going to Mexico?
Mexico was really interesting. It was actually the first time I was out of the country as well, and I didn't really know exactly what to expect. It was definitely a complete change of pace, and just how they do things there is so much different from what we do here, and especially their work ethic. Like, they love to work, they love to do stuff, but it's not really on the same time frame as what we do per se. And so it was just kind of cool experiencing that and experience a different kind of like the culture shock and just the change in everything. And obviously language barrier and all that kind of stuff, figuring that stuff out is always a joy. I know I didn't catch on at all, and I noticed that you were able to, though.
A little bit.
There was some things you were able to buy and actually shop by yourself without having to need Noel or anybody there for you.
Yeah, we made several Walmart trips. That's kind of like the ROC thing whenever we go on mission trips.
Yeah, listen, if our students don't go to Walmart, which you think we're in Mexico, who would want to go to Walmart? But, you know, if our students don't go to Walmart at least once a day, they'll come up with some reason that they need to be there, and it drives me insane. But yeah.
So, like, we went to Mexico, we worked with Crossroads, and we also went to New Orleans. And Maggie, you actually spent time with Crossroads as an intern. What was that like?
So I was there all summer for like an internship, like you just said, and it was really cool and really interesting to like kind of like, even though we're still in the United States, it's still like a big like kind of culture shock. And just like getting to know people from like all over like the East and even like Texas and stuff, like just getting to know a bunch of different groups and working with them on work sites and helping other people while helping them, it was really cool. And it was like, even when the Ohio group came down, like you guys, like it was really cool to bond more with you all and get to know a lot of the ROC Rio students a little better. So it was really cool.
Yeah, and definitely with community changes drastically from here at Rio locally or even northern Ohio like Columbus, and then you travel way down south 14 hours and it's completely different. Yeah. And so, like, what has God done in your life with ROC, with either in ROC or the community? Josh?
Yeah, definitely one of the big things is just getting the chance to actually outreach and show God's love and Christ's love to everybody that's around us, especially just pouring into you guys, because I'm around you guys, I'm hanging out with you guys, and just really fellowshipping together is really like the big thing that we're about. Because if you don't have a relationship with person, chances are they're gonna listen, but they're not really gonna take your advice to heart. And so to really build upon that relationship with the students here, and even just people that we get to meet on a day-to-day basis, and just showing love that way, it's a great way to just kind of share God's love and see how he's moving through those relationships and what he's able to do from, future to come. So
Yeah, definitely with me, it's given me a lot of purpose. Whenever I first showed up here with ROC, it was kind of iffy because I was a little nervous about, finding a new group. I have previously been with another ministry group here at Rio. It didn't work out too well for me personally. A lot of people love it, but just for me, a different setting. But it's definitely gave me personally. I love helping people. I work in healthcare, so I help people all the time, and I love every single minute of it. And especially when we go on mission trips. I mean, it's awesome being able to see someone who has nothing and still wake up every day with a smile on their face, and they get to talk about the Lord and be able to sing and worship every day, and it's just they have a blast. And whenever you go on mission trips, a lot of it is manual labor at some point or another. And when we take people from Rio and OU, it's kind of like manual labor just doesn't speak to them anymore. It's more about helping those in need and helping them each and every day, and it's amazing to see that. And Dodger, with you being the campus ministry, how has that changed over the course of the years that you've been with ROC?
Well, it's definitely shaped the culture of the campus ministry for sure, because it's kind of just become our MO. It's just who we are. We're the group that goes out and serves. And so much so that I'm now getting phone calls from people in this area that say, hey, aren't you that group that fill in the blank built the wheelchair ramp? Aren't you the group that was just serving in New Orleans? And so that's kind of become, I guess, our reputation in the community, which is really, really cool. And I love, because to be honest, that's my heart. I love serving. I love to take students out and to serve, because a lot of times it's on the mission field or even just working with their hands locally that they really get to see that God has given them gifts and abilities that they can use for the kingdom. And so, I guess it's almost selfish on my part, because we're out serving, but we're doing it because I want to see students, passion for serving ignited. And so, but it's also become so much a part of the culture of ROC that, people don't ask anymore, hey, are we going on a trip this summer? It's, hey, where are we going? Where are we going spring break? Who are we serving with? Where, what are we going to be doing? So it's just kind of become this expectation now that that's just who we are and what we do. So that's pretty cool for me to see.
Yeah, especially over the course of the year that I've been here with ROC and going on mission trips. I know whenever I first started, we went to New Orleans for my first mission trip, and I loved it. I love working with my hands. I own a farm, so I'm working all the time. And my aunt will tell you differently, but we stay busy, and I love working. I love helping others. And this year, I kind of changed it a little bit. We went to Mexico, and we worked all day long for a long time. And Josh, you got a better end of that because you caught the sun.
Hey, it was
Josh
okay.
glowed red for 2 weeks afterwards.
I looked like a tomato. I'm not gonna lie, but it was okay.
I love Bob from Veggie Tales. It just reminded me of him.
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, it worked out fine. I fell in love with aloe and just used that on a day-to-day basis, and eventually, my skin cleared up after 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
So it worked out. It was all good.
Yeah, and that was probably a real change for you coming from Columbus area, which is completely different. And it's a little closer to the city, but when you go that far south and go into Mexico, it's different. And it's kind of hard to explain unless you actually go. And whenever we took our group down to New Orleans this past spring, I kind of stepped back from being the person that's going out and doing it and helping those that we took down to actually work at it and actually enjoy it and have fun and learn something. And it was just emotionally crazy for me to sit there and watch it. And I know, Dodger, you talked to me about it a little bit afterwards, after we watched a couple. What was kind of your take on seeing the different change in the people?
Well, I think that, you mentioned something right there as you started that conversation about how, on paper, this doesn't sound like a great week, right? You're going to go to New Orleans or Mexico. You're going to not be able to speak the language some places that you go. You're going to be hot and sweaty. You're going to do manual labor. You're going to be tired when you hit the bunk at night, and like we come back and we share those experiences with people, and then we go, but it was the best week of my life. And people go, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. But, for those who have gone, who've experienced that, and you also mentioned the idea of doing it with joy. You said it's not just manual labor. They're recognizing they're serving other people in the name of Jesus. And so I really think that just introducing people to the opportunity to serve and allowing them to use their gifts and abilities to serve God, like, I think it just profoundly changes people. And I think of my buddy Chris Carroll, who's one of the elders at Mount Hermon Church, one of our supporting churches, and he told me a long time ago, he's like, man, I went on that first trip and I just got bit by the bug. He's like, every trip, he's like, doesn't matter if I can swing it, I'm there. And he's been come with us on multiple trips now because he went and experienced it. Again, on paper, it didn't sound like a great week, but he's like, man, it was life-changing. So really kind of cool.
Yeah, and you said with the gifts and abilities, it's like, I went down there with knowing that I'm like, I can work, I can run equipment if need be, I can also use my hands with work and stuff. And we also took some people that you would never think that would be it. And then all of a sudden, they're out there digging with their shovels, carrying wheelbarrows that were way too heavy for anybody to move when we were in New Orleans. We built a driveway down there to kind of help the earth and to kind of raise back up, because whenever it floods, they pump all this water out, and it drains the water from the earth. Yeah. And so we went down there with a group that actually helps that, and seeing that group specifically definitely changed a lot. And you weren't with us, so you didn't get to see it like we did. But even then, Maggie, you were there with us every day, seeing those people, and it was hot. What do you think about that with everybody moving around like that?
So, I was with Ubuntu, which is the group that did that for a few weeks out of the summer. The rest of the week I was with the ROC. But just seeing, different groups come in and work in different ways and do different things was really cool. And, these people wear themselves out. Like you said, Chris, he was, dehydrated or something. Something was up, but he just kept going, and I was like, I want to take a break. I don't know. People just really put their hearts into it, and it's really cool. For me personally, the first time I went to New Orleans, I knew, I think, one or two people on the trip in total. And, I knew what I was going down there to do, but never once did I think that, I would come back with, the relationships that I had with people and the experience that I had. Like you were just talking about Chris Carroll and, all the Mount Hermon crew, Chris Carroll, Greg Bailey, those people made an insane impact on my life. And just, coming back with those friends and that experience is just completely life-changing.
Yeah, and you can't replace, no amount of money can ever afford that kind of thing. It's like, when I went, it costs some money to go, don't get me wrong, but you can get donations from your church, you can get donations from your family, local community that are wanting to send you, because there are people out there that said, I can't physically go, but I want you to go and have fun. And we went, and a lot of people did that, and it's crazy. They didn't have no clue what to expect. And that's kind of the ROC now, is it's changing each and every week we go into it. But going on those mission trips and serving in not just the mission trips, but the local community too, like you said, building the ramps. We go out, we built ramps for a couple people who they just couldn't no longer walk up the steps like they used to, and they stuck in a wheelchair. And going into it, we know that's a lot of work, but at the end of the day, we're doing it for somebody that really needs that, and they can't do it. And so it's a good way for the community as well as college students to come in if they want a weekend and they don't have anything going on and they want to go out and help someone to serve, and they go out and they come back, and then, like you said, it's not what we're doing, it's when we going type deal. It doesn't matter, I'm going. And that's kind of the future. So being able to outreach to the local community, what's kind of what's a good way for ROC here at Rio and OU, kind of what's a good way to outreach to the community?
I think one of the best ways is always just even the simple stuff, because simple can go so far all the time. And I find that even just doing simple little events that we can invite everybody, invite the community to come out and just experience what ROC is like and experience the people and just fellowshipping with us, I think it's like one of the best ways that we can do it. And I mean, even at OU, they do one of the cool things where, you know, they go to the block party and they just hand out hot dogs to all the students that are just partying hardcore down the strip. And you gotta love it. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, let me interrupt here and say we are not there encouraging the partying,
No,
nor
absolutely
partaking in the
not.
partying, but we're just trying to help people get home safe and maybe give them a
Yes.
little like nugget of wisdom about,
Yeah.
hey, it's maybe not the way you want to live your life.
There you go. That's the best way to phrase it. But yeah, like simple things like that can go a long ways, and you know, it's just cool because it sticks with people. Like there was a person that showed up at the booth during cookies, and he remembered ROC being there from the previous time that we had done it, and he was like, "You guys are amazing, like just handing out cookies and stuff like that." And it's just a cool thing that like something as simple as handing out a bag of cookies to a student for free just goes a long way, and they remember that. And so yeah.
Well, and you know, one of my favorite stories, and I know you guys have heard me tell this before too, is like Josh, you talked about how simple that is to hand somebody a bag of cookies. A lot of you all know my buddy Blaine, who's a part of the ministry at OU, and Blaine's ROC story began with cookies. Now, Blaine actually didn't receive cookies. His mother worked in the College of Health and Human Sciences at Ohio University, and someone from her office had stopped by that day and picked up a bag of cookies, eaten the cookies, and thrown the bag with the invitation to ROC in the trash can. His mom, who happened to be walking past, looked down, saw the bag in the trash can, and pulled it out to give to him and said, "Look, you should go and check out this group." And the rest is history. And so it's just amazing to me that God can use something as simple as a plastic used Ziploc bag in a trash can to bring people into the community. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like you said, bringing people in the community, getting connected with ROC is a lot easier than a lot of people think. You know, we're on Facebook and Instagram, so we post quite often. And, you know, what's being able to do that, once you get connected to ROC, what do you have to do signing up wise?
That's the fun part, is like there really isn't much to it. It's mostly just kind of come in and show up and just be a part of the community. It's not that we're requiring you to do anything or you have to meet this certain requirement to show up. Like we're inviting a church that we just actually connected with recently, which is Grace, and they're hoping to show up and see what it's like, and just maybe this is our way in of just being able to connect with that church and reach out to that church and allow us to kind of, you know, bounce back and forth with things, whether it's events or just hanging out as a group and fellowshipping together and just kind of pouring into each other's lives. And that's really what it's about. Like we do have leadership options and stuff like that if that's something you want to get connected with, and that's obviously a little bit of a more priority of, you know, taking up a little bit of your time. But for the most part, it's mostly just show up and be there and just love on everybody, and that's it.
And
Yeah.
today we did another podcast at OU, and we talked about how you can like stay connected when you're so busy. And I feel like ROC is just really like a place you can go to kind of get a fresh breath of air. Like you're so busy with class, like work, like all this stuff, just like, and like I feel like ROC's just really a place you can go to just kind of like, and just kind of like have your friends there and like have that community that you can lean on, and always like it's always there.
Yeah, absolutely. And your ROC community, we meet on Mondays and, you know, Wednesday at OU. That's not the only day that we're here. You know, we all have classes. We all go to school here. We work locally, and we're always around, and we can always absolutely grab a cup of coffee, you know, even when you're feeling down. We're always here to help. You know, being able to get connected with it is not just meeting on one day specifically. You know, we can work with you, and we can even meet kind of whenever. And there's posters all around Rio campus. I know that. I'm not sure about OU, but I know Rio, we have posters all over the wall with a little QR code you can just scan, which makes it really simple, really easy. Sends you to the link where our Instagram is, then you can see where everything is. And you can even ask around, and, you know, everybody here at campus knows us. We spent quite some time talking to everybody.
And if you scan that QR code that you just mentioned, it will bring you to the link for this podcast. So if you like this podcast, you want to listen to some more, you can absolutely find it there as well.
Yeah, and so, like you said, we're listening to the podcast, and if you're watching the YouTube video as well, that we hopefully get set up, you can definitely come out and see us on Mondays. And, I think a little time for some scripture, right?
Yep, so the first one is 2 Timothy 2:15, and it says to do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth.
All right, and I have John 16:13. It says, "When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. He will not speak on his own, but will tell you what he has heard. He will tell you about the future."
Kind of some little bit of announcements for the people watching YouTube and listening in. We've got a fall retreat coming up too as well, which is kind of a big kind of just like you said, relaxing time to kind of just enjoy yourself. We have some ministry up there and some worship, which is very cool. I didn't personally get to see it last year, but I'm excited to see it this year. That is October 14th through the 15th.
16th.
16th.
Yeah, Friday through Sunday.
Yep. Awesome weekend just to kind of relax. It's $30 a person, and if you're a ROC member today, you are able to bring a friend for free, which is, I think, really cool. And if any questions, feel free to DM us on Instagram or message us on Facebook. Dodger will be gladly to give you some information. And if you want to come, let us come to your local church. Absolutely. We'll be happy to go out there and preach and, go to lunch and have some fun. Dodger, you got anything for us?
No, I think you guys hit it really, really well today. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedules to share with all of our listeners and just to kind of share your stories about how you got involved, what ROC has meant to you, over the past couple years, and just the things that you're looking forward to in the future. So thank you guys for sharing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to pray real quick, and then we'll go on back to everyday life. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to reach out to the community from either right down the street or, as far as ways we can reach. Thank you, Lord, for bringing these folks in today and letting us kind of talk about ROC, kind of give you guys a kind of a history of it. Lord, please bless us as we go through the rest of our week. Bless us this weekend and into next week. Let's have a wonderful rest of the evening and watch over and protect us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hope to see you all next crosswalk.